hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Batman Arkham Origins New Game Plus video walkthrough. We're on the Pioneer Bridge, and this is the final of the final two of the bombs. So I like this part of the game. I think it's interesting. I like the boss fight I've already mentioned. I think some of the combat sequences in it could be better, but I'll talk more about those when we get to them. I really like I know it sounds cliche to say this, but the Uncharted-esque, emphasis on shit is getting messed up all around you. This is really, climactic and spectacular. I've never really had this in the Batman sense, in the Batman games, I don't believe. Anything quite to this nature. And the thing that makes it all the sweeter is you've spent the entire game crossing this stupid elongated bridge. And after this, the bridge is never the same. The bridge is knackered. And it's just a really cathartic moment of... I didn't really like the bridge too much. I thought it just, segmented a part of Gotham I've already seen in Arkham City and another part that's, just generic as it gets, really. They might say it's so much bigger than Arkham City, but bigger is never better unless we're talking, the thing everybody thought of just then. But they do say it is not the size of the tool, it's how you use it. And I say they, maybe these are people who are professional liars, I'm not too sure. But I'm digging a hole here of very self-conscious people holding a chalice of virginity worrying about the future. So I'm going to end it there. But this is a fight, and it's a big one. It's a room full of dudes, and there's electricity all around you. And what I would have really liked here was context-sensitive commands near walls. And you might be thinking, well, what do you mean by that, Chris? Well, it's okay, I'll tell you. I don't mean what the game already does, where Batman does animations based on his positioning into walls and stuff, which look super cool. They're great, they're fine. What I mean is, when you're near an environmental object, or near a wall, or near a piece of geometry, there should be an input that comes up on the screen, much like the counter icon, which enables Batman to grab the guy and put his head through the fence, or grab the guy and shove him into the fence and get electrocuted, or grab the guy and, put his head into the microwave. It doesn't really matter. There's a million things, You don't even have to grab his head. You can grab anything. Million ideas. Really good example of this, Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs is a game that took me by surprise because I thought it was going to be a big old bag of shit. Turned out to be one of the most fun sandbox games I've played in a long time. I would say I had more fun with that game than I did GTA 5, which will stun a lot of people, but it's true. That's not taking anything away from GTA 5. It's a fantastic game. I just enjoyed Sleeping Dogs more, even though I will admit 100% that it is the inferior game. That game had the ability to do a whole bunch of context-sensitive animations when you grabbed people, and I just think that was cool as shit. There wasn't enough in the game for my taste, because I got all sadomasochistic on it, where I would literally take every dude and put him in whatever I could just for the sake of doing it, because it was fun. And I would love to see that incorporated in this. Like, you could even take it a step further and incorporate the Dead or Alive mechanic of knocking people through walls to a different fight, like a different arena. Did anybody play Power Stone on the Dreamcast? This was a game where there was levels that would change and progress through 3 stages of them because certain things were happening, like a plane was crashing and then you were free falling, then you were somewhere else. This technology and these ideas have existed, they just haven't been capitalized on with the advancements of technology, and I would really love to see a little bit more ambition and a little bit less safety. Because if you don't risk jumping, you'll never know the brilliance of free fall, but at the same time you have to fall, land and hurt yourself a few times to appreciate when you land safely. And unfortunately we have too much of this obsession of it's safe, it works, it sells, and I want it to tilt the other way. I want the risky games to happen. The only problem is a lot of the risky games that do come out are a pile of shit, so we need to get some kind of convergence between good games and games that are pushing boundaries. But here is the final of the bombs, because after this it gets a little bit more convoluted. I do apologise if you keep hearing me put my cup down. I know it sounds unprofessional on the mic, but I've had very little sleep thanks to a failed crusade to get into a beta, which I'm not going to mention because I'm still fucking furious. So I'm in need of the perk shall we say. But something that's quite cool about this section is every single one of the keywords that opens the hacks is something to do with fire. Something to do with, you know, being an arsonist and Firefly himself, which is a nice little play on words. It's a nice little touch, a nice detail. But this is the gaming season kicking off right here, guys. This is the opening pistol to the Olympics that's coming. And that is, of course, next week is Assassin's Creed 4. Then it's Battlefield 4. A lot of 4s, notice that? Then it's Call of Duty Ghosts. And then after that, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's something, because, you know, November and October, end of October, November, they're ample times for just smashing us with games. Then, of course, end of November or mid-November, we've got the consoles, the new consoles. A shit ton of stuff coming with those that I'm going to be covering on the 360, because I'm not buying either of the consoles. And I think that's definitive now. As much as I would love to do like a video adventure where I take a camera and I go and pick one up, maybe with some friends or something, as awesome as that sounds, it would never ever work. You know, I just don't have the ambition to buy the new consoles because they haven't done a good enough job of selling them to me. And that's kind of sad, I think. Like, we don't even have Watch Dogs to look forward to, but maybe now we have Watch Dogs at 60 frames per second instead. Which, I'm sorry, but if you're not hitting 60 frames per second, what the fuck are you doing, Ubisoft? Stop making the UI float in the damn city and give us 60 frames. Doesn't make any sense. But that doesn't mean there aren't good games coming, guys. I know there's a lot of good games coming out. I'm really interested to see what this new Killzone is, because I am a hardcore Killzone fan, in as much as I loved the first one and have pretty much hated everyone that followed. 3 was significantly better than 2, and it is a really fun game, but in the grand scheme of things, none of them have captured my imagination or my adoration like the first one did. So I'm kind of the hardcore Killzone fan who hates Killzone, you know, because it's not matured into the series I wanted it to and hoped it would. But once again, that's not to say it's not, you know, a good game to some. Some people will love it. Some people do love it. I'm just not one of those people. But I'm really interested to see where that new one goes. You know, I'm interested in a lot of things, but none of them are console specific. None of them are next gen to me. And you need to give me a reason to care, because when consoles first come out, they're buggy. You know, we've all read the news recently. Each of these new consoles about to premiere are all going to get day one patches. Day one patches before they even come out. Like, I don't know much about how patches are handled, or really about patches at all. All I know is it's an opportunity for a developer to pay Microsoft money, because they're greedy bastards, to fix their game. But surely, if your gaming system that needs a patch isn't out yet, why can't you just patch it before you release it? So, I'm going to look at it logically now. My thoughts, the only thing I can think of must be is, the consoles have already been mass manufactured, you know, they've been proliferated and pumped off an assembly line at this base value. They've then realised, after this, that this base value is, you know, got issues in some way or some functionality problems, and thus the patch will address that. You know, you can't exactly recall them all and get another 100,000 or however many is getting made reassembled. You can't do that. It's unrealistic. That's the only thing I can think of. But day one patches tell you that there are going to be day one problems, guys. And every game that launches has server issues, regardless of how many times they've launched. Call of Duty, the biggest franchise in gaming, like arguably so. Like, GTA 5 might have sold more and beaten every record that was ever set by anything ever in the entirety of ever, but still, there are not going to be as many people playing that game in 6 months as there will be Call of Duty, because it doesn't have the same replay value. It doesn't have that same competitive hook. Call of Duty does. They have consistently had a bajillion people playing, and that is a statistical fact. You can find that number in a dictionary. A bajillion people playing day one on their servers, and they never work. It never works, ever. There's always cannot connect to party, cannot connect to friends, cannot connect to lobby, kicked out of lobby, this, that and other, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It never works. And they're the company that has consistently been dealing with the biggest recorded numbers of like server activity on multiplayer games that exist out of PC. And as we all know, PC will always be superior because they've been doing it for so goddamn long now that they're essentially sat in an armchair with a bit of sherry and a pipe because they're just ballers. But consoles aren't. Consoles are completely different infrastructure. And it's just, you know, if they can't handle it, no one else can handle it. Like the Dark Souls beta the other day was an absolute catastrophe. It was the biggest joke, you know, since Eddie Murphy's career. Post, maybe Dr. Dolittle? Or maybe some would consider Dr. Dolittle as the start of the descent. I don't know. Post Beverly Hills Cop, how about that? This fight's annoying as well, guys. Here, there's fire on the outskirts, just like there was electricity, which can hurt you. And a lot of the enemies they throw at you can be really tricky. So just try and pay attention and know that this is one of the fights that's probably the more annoying in the game. I didn't die, but I did on hard, so that's a nice bit of reference for you. But another thing, when these consoles come out, they're going to find all the problems with them. I'm hoping it's not going to be hardware problems like it was for the 360, because if you don't know this, which I assume everybody does, the 360 was so faulty, you know, from day one for an entire year and longer, that they increased the warranty. Because they had to, because the product they were selling was breaking more than it was functioning, which is never a good thing. Sony had, you know, problems, but I don't think they were anywhere near the same as the 360. The 360 was just abysmal. It was appalling. You know, Sony had other issues with... This was the first time they'd really tried to do servers, and the software and the hardware integrating together was kind of shitty and kind of didn't have things that other systems have had for years. Things that, you know, made logical sense but never came to really be fully realised. Things like party chat and updates that don't take years, and, you know, a UI that doesn't take 9 drop-down menus to find the resolution of your fucking TV. But these consoles have problems, and they are persistent at launch, so hopefully I'm going to avoid that. Hopefully there won't be that, so I'll probably look back on this decision as a bad one, but this is just an estimation here, guys. There will be problems, just as much as there will be blood. In the film, there will be blood. But that is the end of the video, guys. I will see you in the boss fight in the next one. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.